gentlemen, please do standing for the West Mayor, accompanied by the Chief Executive.
Would you mind remaining standing, please, for 1 minute silence for the people that have been killed in Manchester? Thank you. Please be seated. Before we start, Councillor Alan Clark would just like to make a comment.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. In light of the appalling terrorist attack in Manchester in the late hours of yesterday, I feel it's quite right that we express our solidarity with the people of Manchester and stand side by side with them in their darkest hour. Now, this morning, I made contact with my counterpart and colleague, Councillor Sheila Newman, who is the lead member for Children's Services at Manchester City Council, to express solidarity on behalf of everybody in the local authority and to let them know that they are in our thoughts. Councillor Newman has responded to me, and I thought it appropriate that I share with elected members tonight the comments that Councillor Newman has passed on. She says, "Thank you for your good wishes and solidarity. It's a terrible day for Manchester when children and young people have been murdered and maimed whilst attending a pop concert. All right-thinking people across the country will stand united against all such forms of terrorism. If we unite to defend the values we believe in, freedom and democracy will be protected. There is more that unites us than divides us." And that's from the lead man for Children's Services at Manchester Council.
Thank you, Councillor Clark. Just like to make a comment myself. In light of these terrible events in Manchester last night, we gave consideration as to whether to postpone this meeting as a mark of respect. However, since public notice had been given, we decided to proceed. Nevertheless, I would appreciate if members would recognise the circumstances in which we are at this meeting. Thank you. Can we receive apologies for absence?
We've received notification of apologies from Councillor Cranny, Councillor Martin Wells and Councillor Hyde.
Councillor Howard. Okay. No, thank you. Can I welcome our new councillor from the Headland and Harbour Ward, Councillor Mike McLaughlin. Do you receive any declarations of interest by members, please? Councillor Thomas.
So Mayor, I'd like to take personal and prejudicial interest in item 6 on the business report from the Chief Executive as a member of that United Supporters Trust.
Councillor Clark.
Just a personal interest in the same item as the particular one
Thank you. No? No? Thank you for that. Item 3, any business required by statute? There's none. Item 4, to approve the minutes of the last meeting held on the 16th of March 2017 is a true record. Can I take those as being read, please? Thank you. 5, any questions from members of council on the minutes of the last meeting? Councillor Riddle.
Thank you, Chair. In minute number 4, regarding the question asked about the seat car parking charges, I made reference to evidence about the negative impact. With the Chair's permission, is it possible to present that tonight, briefly?
Chair, I think it's one about the minutes, the accuracy of those minutes are not writing. So it's quite constrained minutes, so not entirely new.
So, sorry, Councillor Riddle. No. Anybody else? No. Thank you for that. Item 6, to deal any business required by statute. There's none. Any announcements from myself or the head of bid service? There are none. Thank you. 8, to dispose of any business remaining from the last meeting, and there was none. Item 9, consider reports from council committees, receive questions and answers on any of those reports. There are none. So we'll go on to item 10. To consider any of the business specified in the summons to the meeting and receive questions and answers on any of those items. Number 1, further review of council's constitution, and I'll go to our monitoring officer.
Chair, thank you. So the prefix gives us aware of the title of this report, a further review of the Council's Constitution. There have been a number of periodic reviews of the Council's Constitution, hopefully actually with movement of times, and also to further refine, hopefully, the good governance of the Council through its Constitution. This actually item primarily arose from the meeting back in September of last year, where there was actually a motion for Council to further look again at its public involvement and engagement with its public. And therefore a constitutional working group was formed, comprising 11 members, and they met, as mentioned, in 1.2 report on 9th of December, 21st of February, and the 18th and 24th of April of this year. In looking at the Constitution, I'm guided by Article 15, which mentions there, observe meetings, take audit trails, sample decisions, record and analyse issues raised with myself, and also compare practices with other local authorities. In this report, there is some mention of the practices of local authorities. At the very least, that was drawn to the attention of the working group. We also received various issues papers. Hopefully, this report itself canvasses the commentary that came out from that working group, together with additional commentary from myself where required, and I will address that directly this evening. Necessarily, to comply with the law, a constitution must have with its standing orders, its procedure rules, a copy of the Council's Code of Conduct, and such information as the Secretary of State may direct. And essentially, such other information which the Council feels expedient and appropriate to include in its constitution. So some great latitude is given in that respect. Chair, 2 considerations for members this evening. If you do resolve any changes to your procedure rules, on Procedure Rule 24.2, as mentioned in paragraph 1.5 there, those changes will stand adjourned to the next ordinary meeting of Council, so they will not take effect tonight, and on Thursday you'll get your scheduled ordinary meetings. I believe the next ordinary meeting will be the 22nd of June. And also ask the members just to be observant of the so-called PERDA rules. We are in election period, obviously coming off the back of the Tees Valley mayoral elections, and obviously the by-election Headland Harbour, and have also the UK Parliamentary General Election on 8th of June. And I'd actually also stress to members, please do not actually seek to promote a political party or organisation to the confines of this evening's meeting. Chair, there are a number of items for consideration, starting at paragraph number 2 there. Proposed revisions to the current procedure rules report increased council utilisation of the local supply base. The chairman can go through the matters relevant to the report and then stop before part 3, which is the recommendations, receive questions from members and also any debate that is required. The first thing that I say is proposed revisions to the procedure rules, Appendix 1, effectively somewhere into that document. There is a tabular format, and unfortunately the pages are numbered. It's part C, it's several pages in the document, where it illustrates effectively the changes, and it's this tabular format. Apologies for the green light I've put in there myself, the table. It's number 6, formal request for quotation procedures. And you'll see there what would be a graduated form of procurement and procedures, basically. In that any kind of products to a value between £0 and £1,000 should be subject to at least one minimum quotation. These are minimum levels. Amounts between £1,000 and £5,000 should be at least 2 quotations. And for amounts based between £5,000 and £60,000, there be 3 quotations, and then the larger amounts can go into 4 quotations using the quick quote systems. So a couple of points to note. These changes, if adopted, will certainly be monitored by your corporate procurement team, part of management. Would also actually, any contracts over £25,000 would need the statutory requirement to go through the government's contract finder website. So there will be additional elements of transparency involved there. Chair, I think apart from that, that covers that particular item on the report. So it is a question actually of ultimately members considering and approving basically that appendix to the report. Item 2, reviewing the current approach to public involvement and engagement. The working group did have regard to the reform should continue, or should be revised. You can see their considerations given on the 18th of April, confirmation of further views as part of the discussion in that working group. And following that debate, the following views were expressed. There should be 4 community forum meetings, separate round table events to be scheduled in the new municipal year. Crucially, there should be 2 neighbourhood forums, now styled as being community forums. And there should be further engagement through actually events such as festival events and things of that nature. So the recommendations, you'll see there, the Assistant Director of Corporate Services agreed to draft a programme addressing timing issues associated with the policy chairs question time meetings in between these community forum meetings. So therefore the recommendations made through the constitutional working group is that 2 neighbourhood forums should continue. They should be renamed as being community forums, and they will continue to be split geographically into north and coastal and south and central areas as we have as at present. And they will continue to be held quarterly in the Civic Centre on the same day, and the chair and vice chair will be an elected member. There will also be a policy chair's question time in between those forum meetings to cover all questions of policy chairs from both sets of residents. And timing of meetings will need to be considered. There will need to be a change to the Constitution, Article 10.4, actually covers all the elements of the current operation of neighbourhood forums, and it is suggested that the scope and remit of community forums be narrowed down, namely be a focal point for local consultation on the provision of council services and neighbourhood issues. And therefore, matters such as water and budgets should be transferred to the neighbourhood services committee. Chair, third item, public questions to council. Questions of this nature during the discussion of the Constitutional Working Group. The point was made that questions of that nature should be emanate really through the policy committees without necessarily need implication or reputation based on council. And commentary is made there in the report from the Constitutional Working Group. You'll see on the page my own advice, and that there will be occasions when matters of such import, urgency, or that implications for the borough should be based actually reserve not elected members but equally members of the public. And therefore, the members of the public, the Hartlepool community, should have the opportunity to raise all questions of those significant matters before council. And therefore, I made the recommendation, Chair, it's there in the italics of how that can be achieved. Therefore, my advice is to retain the element of public questions. On member questions, point number 4, there was a quirk in our constitution of allowing procedure rule 12.1. I think that the members know this procedure rule fairly well. It allows any questions without notice of committee meetings in between the meetings of council. And we also have out in our constitution 12.4, which is a variation on that procedure rule 12.1. But limits the scope of those questions without notice only to basically those items then before council. So not so much a guessing game to ask what questions might emanate from the floor of the chamber. In looking at the practices of other local authorities, particularly those in Dees Valley, they adopted Procedure Rule 12.4, reading Procedure Rule 12.1. Certainly sort of pedantic over this, but from the material to previous attention, the Constitutional Working Group, and it's there in the report for members. Probably more consideration for members than our members of the public. Item 5, forward plan, you will see attached Appendix 2. The amended format to actually have a more consistent approach of your forward plan. This is to ensure a document which is easily understandable and which basically illustrates to members of the Hartlepool public when important items, key decisions, will be taken by what committee, whether it's a referral to council, as effectively when that decision is to be taken by who. And it front loads the business of council, and it's a very important document in itself. But revisions to its format, and again, actually it's there in Appendix 2, and then it's information and consideration. One item that did come out from the Constitutional Working Group was the reinvention of the Constitutional Committee. We used to have a Constitutional Committee from the period of about 2002 all the way through to 2012. The modular guidance does indicate that you need some mechanism which to review, revise the Constitution. That can be either through a committee or it can be through the named officer. From 2012 onwards, I've had the pleasure of bringing reports to Council on suggested changes to the Constitution, and the Constitutional Working Group did indicate consideration for, say, the reinvention and reintroduction of the Constitutional Committee, and that was at their meeting on the 18th of April. That committee is comprised 9 members of the quorum of 4. And again, it would still be a situation of reviewing, monitoring, and where necessary, making recommended changes to council. So the full aims and effects of the Constitution are in its full effect. And if members agree to that, you'll also see from the Chief Justice report the various kind of committee structures, and also as mentioned there, of the Constitutional Committee should you so decide to reintroduce it this evening. And finally, Chair, before I break for any questions, timing of the committee meetings, although I appreciate the fourth bullet point slightly misleading, but what came out of the working group was concerns about staffing issues with evening meetings. I should point out that it was determined back in January that council meetings should largely stay as is. There seems to be a slight condition that the floor time before there. Please express that attendance meetings by body tend to be on agenda-specific items, and committee chairs have flexibility to change the time of their own meetings. It was mentioned there a suggestion council considers changing the time of the council meetings to start at 2 p.m. during the period from October to February, and that consideration given also to evening council meetings starting at 6 p.m. And that is drawn word for word from the minutes of Constitutional Work Group, and is there for members' information this evening. And again, I think the recommendation to the council to consider those changes. Chair, just in closing, just so everybody is aware of the working group, they are not part of the fabric, format, constitutional arrangements of council. They are of an ad hoc nature, and they're meant to be a standing board for members whereby recommendations will come forward brief there before myself and yourself go through the separate case.
Thank you very much indeed. Councillor Christopher as well, Chair.
My understanding of the debate at the Constitution Working Group was around the merit of our committee system of governance and the fact that it lends itself.
Turn up the speakers again, please. We can't hear the speakers.
We'll just have a check.
Thank you.
Just have 1 second. Don't mind waiting for Councillor as well.
Can everybody hear me at the back?
Yes,
Would you mind just trying again, Councillor? Sorry?
The difference is your face, Mr. Chairman.
Actually, that's not strictly true, actually. This new system is supposed I say supposedly to work everywhere around this chamber.
Debate at the Constitution Working Group was around the merit of our committee system of governance and the fact that it lends itself to greater participation of the public in our decision making. It is a strength of our committee system in promoting public engagement. The report before us tonight said could remove public questions because of our high level of public engagement. It did not say shall, or will, or would. The non-officer report then qualifies any recommendation that in any event there should always be public questions that are urgent, important, or may impact on the borough in the same way elected members ask such questions of strategic importance. So there is no move to delete public questions, but more recognition that our council operates a committee system of governance provides many methods of public participation and engagement. Over the last year we've held a number of Your Say, Our Future events, and in the new proposals there will be further roundtable events incorporating the face of public events, the health and wellbeing and the Safe Particle Partnership. Also proposed is a community forum, previously the neighbourhood forums, and all policy chairs will be hosting a question and answer session for members of the public in between these two forums. The actual policy committees welcome members of the public, covering questions on children's, adults, neighbourhoods and regeneration. And we also have the Children's Partnership. I chair the Health and Wellbeing Board, and many people attend that. Also chair the Safe Particle Partnership, and also elected members have ward surgeries, whilst only some members operate them. I myself, as leader of the council, I have a leader surgery each and every Monday at 4 o'clock for members of the public to come and ask questions. With regards to questions to chairs without notice, I personally have no problem in answering any questions at full council. Most members, to be fair, don't wait until we have a council meeting. They tend to just pick up the phone and ask, or simply call into my office. Or indeed, any member can actually turn up to the actual committees and participate in the debate whilst the decision is being made. In respect of time of the full council meetings, I had thought we'd agreed on the 21st of January that all members were in full agreement that full council would remain at 7 p.m. Overall, I am more than happy to accept a summary of recommendations in part 3 of the Modern Office report, but I would like to amend it so it's subject to public questions remain as they are now, member questions on notice remain as they are now, and again agree that full council meetings shall remain at 7 p.m. on the Thursday evening. And I put that forward as an amendment to the recommendation.
Councillor Alan Clark.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I rise to second that, but I also want to address a number of points that were raised with me by members of the public over the weekend. And I'll respond in the same way that I respond to them in my email to them. It is my belief that democracy is alive and well in Hartlepool, and the committee system we operate under today is far more democratic than the cabinet system we operated under previously. The key day-to-day decisions of this local authority are now not done in smoke-filled rooms, or indeed in full council, but actually they're done in the policy committees, which are open to the public. In Children's Services Committee, for example, public participation is not only welcome, but it's encouraged and it also enriches the debate. On the issue of public questions, members may recall when I was elected in the list post as chair of Children's Services last year, there was a question outstanding from the previous municipal year around the welfare of our looked after children. That question took some 10 weeks to answer to assure the public that the children were safe in local authority care. That cannot be right. But a question of such importance of the welfare of our looked after children takes 10 weeks to answer when actually it could have been answered the next day. So an element of common sense actually needs to be applied to questions from members of the public. The public must always be able to reach their elected members and be able to hold us to account for the decisions that we make. That includes asking questions at full count. On the timing of council meetings, I support the meetings remaining at 7 o'clock, but I appreciate there is no perfect time for any meetings of any committee whatsoever. There's always going to be members of the public who are excluded no matter what time we hold meetings of this council. But I do support remaining at 7 o'clock. And finally, on questions to policy chairs, again, I have no plan whatsoever about answering questions on the decisions that have been made in the committee of which I am chair. I think what the council legally said.
Councillor Tennant.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. I find it absolutely quite astonishing that what was discussed at the Constitutional Working Group, which I won't go into in too much detail for various reasons, and suddenly we find ourselves this evening by the ruling group backtracking on what was actually said.
Well said.
What was actually in the minutes of that constitutional meeting and what's in the agenda of this meeting are two very different things entirely. I'm very pleased that we've had a strong reaction from the public, quite rightly so, and that's why we've had to backtrack, and also quite rightly so. And you wonder why you find yourselves in this situation time and time again. The reason for that is because you don't listen. You don't. There are many, many situations. And I'm saying, what about the 3,500 people who voted against you and decided you ignored that? This is another classic case of the ruling group refusing to listen to the ordinary people of this town, time and time again. Yes, you backtracked. I applaud that. I applaud that you kept public questions and we have the timings kept at 7 o'clock in the evening. I applaud that. Thank you. We're not going to go down this ridiculous route of changing timings of council. Thank you.
Chair, just to clarify, certainly I've taken really, in my report, the minutes, I thought were a true interpretation of the Constitutional Working Group minutes. As mentioned, the Constitutional Working Group is really a sounding board, which views are represented to members tonight to consider and discuss.
Sorry, I have to.
No, sorry. Just move on to this issue of Councillor Taylor.
Councillor Thompson.
Chairman, Chair, with your permission, this seat tonight, so going back. Chair, fake news is a term that's sadly become part of our lexicon in recent months. It's a phrase associated with an autocratic, small-minded individual who is of little discernible ability or intelligence, and who somehow found his way to power to the detriment of those who are supposed to be serving. He's also become the mantra of President Trump. In the face of overwhelming public pressure and outrage, the recommendation from the Labour-led committee to restrict public questions into all of the Times of News, which is in black and white before us tonight, is inexplicably branded as fake news or articles over Trump. Even more disgraceful is the charge that somehow plot to undermine the parliamentary candidate for the Labour Party, as if I and others forced Labour members of this committee to come up with these ridiculous suggestions. I read
Councillor Thompson, would you just hang on a second?
What we got first?
Yeah, we let the town members speak, and the other three to speak. Earlier on this evening, actually, there's actually mentioned about political considerations, and increasingly at every meeting, reminding members of the obligation to take on this. Just to ensure that members speak with everybody else in together, fellow member, member of the public, with respect. And unfortunately, there's sometimes certain implications on individuals. It's not really actually the role of the members in this chamber to contribute to the political. So I was trying to be mindful of those of the obligations.
Councillor Thompson is mindful. I have read with interest the comments made by the leader that you never restrict public questions and never exclude working people from meetings by fixing times during the day. But here's the real news. It's been done before. It was the Labour group that banned supplementary questions and moved them by Labour members right here tonight. And it was the Labour leader that voted against scheduling some committees in the evening to allow working people to attend. Mr. Chairman, when it comes to restricting public questions and excluding working people, this guy has fallen. We all know that if there'd been no fuss, no outcry, no E-word that's coming upon the horizon, these proposals here tonight have been quietly nodded through by a guy so fearful of public scrutiny, he'll literally do anything to avoid it. Nevertheless, I welcome his U-turn. And while he's in the mood for turning, I suggest we go a little further tonight. Let's prove our commitment to openness and transparency and accessibility to democracy in this town. Banning public questions, and to quote Alan Clark on this, was a policy designed for the few rather than the many. It was an assault on our democracy. Councillors reading pre-prepared statements that offer no resident opportunity to follow up, no opportunity to clarify, no opportunity to say whether they're happy with the answer, is designed to do one thing: stifle the public's ability to criticise those elected members who I suspect are fearful they would not stand up to. Therefore, I'd like to amend tonight's report to include the reinstatement of public supplementary questions for the public and for councillors. I'm sure there's many people in the room tonight who will vote for that. And before we go a little further, I propose the enhanced accessibility to meetings for working people to get rid of the outdated policy, and we have at least 25% of the council meetings held in an evening to ensure that working people can access their democracy at least some of the time. And finally, the leader of the council has said he's prepared to answer questions anytime, anywhere, and I think that's commendable. I propose that we write a bold statement into our constitution to ensure that there's a 15-minute segment at the beginning of each council agenda dedicated to leaders' questions without notice. Let those members opposite prove their commitment to openness, transparency and accessibility by voting for them tonight. Thank you.
Chair, first of all, apologies for constantly coming on certain matters. To assist Councillor Thompson, one of our recommendations is to say reintroduce the Constitution Committee. Having regard to the comments about the questions, having meetings, the statements and the like, I would indicate to members you should not actually make policy effectively under some good governance. Should you wish to look at these matters, you should go to the Constitution Committee and then report back to Council, and that can be done with some experiencing. We should be making snap decisions of this nature on time.
Thank you. I still have people who wish to speak. Mr. James.
Thank you, Chairman. The question that I want to ask is actually because I would like you to confirm the advice that you gave to me as Chair of Neighbourhood Services in relation to how to handle an actual petition, regardless of its number and size. There is a process that we go through to deal with that, and so I would like you to actually give that advice now in public.
Thank you. Please.
Chair, again, I'm mindful that we've got here at the council meeting this evening. I've actually received the communication that will be received for the petition this evening. I've actually that's in the council this evening before obviously the meeting started at 7 o'clock, and that's a petition which relates to the business dealing with now. We used to have a statutory petition scheme, and that was in the legislation some years previously. And depending upon the number of signatories on the petition, it could invite council debate, it could actually request council to take certain steps, it could actually ask council to research the matter. So there were active matters which could be done on the back of the petition. That was abolished with the introduction of the Locals Acts in 2011. So there's now no statutory petition scheme. Equally, the same legislation abolished the promotion of local democracy as a principle. It seems quite absurd in legislation. So the situation we have now is that we're conscious that we receive petitions that don't have a statutory force behind them. Where a matter is of a local ward interest, we generally actually inform local ward members that they're conversant and have regard to their views that what should be done. If it's a more borough-wide matter, invariably we notify the leader of council, we relate to one of the policy committees and notify the chair of that committee, and take a view of an officer report, then we take to that committee, even actually give it some attitude, maybe even report to council. It's a far different system to what we had previously. We are conscious that petitions have a sense of feeling behind them. The one obviously this evening has got 1,400 policies which is to it. But equally, it's an indication of strength of feeling. Really, no more than that. It doesn't have anything more beyond persuasive quality. It really demands that it should actually be a council debate that should follow. This is what happened with this particular instance. So, unfortunately, I think it was aggressive to remove the statutory petition scheme. We do receive petitions, as members are aware, and so there's a process of dealing with them. It's quite unlike what we had previously in the legislation.
Thank you. Councillor Riddle.
Thank you, Chair. I've spoken a lot before in the past about the questions and things of that nature, and I take the point that the policy committees obviously are a good forum for the public to submit the questions. The issue for a lot of people concerns work. The Office for National Statistics just very recently, a month ago, said that 74% 94.8% of the population of this country at working age 16 years old to 64 actually work. Of those people, 26.1 million are private sector workers. 82.9% of people, believe it or not, in this country are at work doing work when council meetings take place. On top of that, the Office of National Statistics have estimated that 80% of those people work 1 hour either side from 9 to 5. So policy committee meetings in the daytime, including an awful lot of working people. That is an issue a lot of people have. Coming to the actual U-turn, and I will call it a U-turn because it is a U-turn. We saw a U-turn on Seacoal has been badly finished, it came because of public pressure. We saw a U-turn on allotment increases at a substantial rate. It became from public pressure. This is a U-turn, and we can all see that it is. And the reason we know it's a U-turn is because the track record, as has been said, for this governance system, for gradually eroding our democratic procedures, is well documented. It was this council, majority led by the ruling group, that removed the public's right to ask supplementary questions. It was this council that banned members of the public from actually being allowed to speak and read out their own questions. It was this council that reduced the time allowed for public questions and reduced the time opposition councillors like myself are actually allowed to speak in a democratically elected chamber. It was this council that ignored a public consultation calling for more meetings to be held in the evening, and it was also this council very recently that refused to publish a list of public questions rejected by this council. That does not sound like a council that embraces democracy. It sounds like a council that embraces secrecy. Let us be very clear and let everybody know that this is a U-turn. And Councillor James, for someone that doesn't drive, you are getting very good at U-turns.
I don't think I'm going to add anything to the matter of public questions. I think that's already been discussed by the members surrounding me here. I want to get on to one or two of the other items that are on the agenda and just ask questions and make comment on them if I may. Item 3.2, with regards to the 2 neighbourhood forums, we're obviously going to continue and will be renamed. In there, it doesn't mention what the timing is like to be for 2 forums. Has it been agreed already? No. No. If I may make a quote then, it's not changing policy, I'll make a quote on the quote. But it's a request, really, that we at least try and alternate them between daytime and evening forums so that we are trying to engage the larger audience and making sure those who are at work during the day can attend an evening meeting and obviously vice versa. The only other point I'd like to know is in relation to item 6, I think it is, Constitutional Committee. The question again, with this being a new committee being created, can anyone confirm if the chair, vice chair will be receiving an additional special responsibility now for the committee? And if so, have we all done that at this time?
Can I answer the main point of the first part? We have tried forums on mornings, afternoons, evenings. We've tried them in different parts of the town relative to either the north or the south, etc. And each time we ended up basically with the same number of people each time across the board. So there's never been any time when we would say that that was the best time. Everything is good time.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Mr. Mayor. I'm just trying to keep everybody happy and make sure that we as a council provide the opportunity where everybody can be.
Just clarify that has actually been tried.
No, I don't.
checks confirmation on the Constitution Committee responsibility answers. I can certainly give a written response about what happened between 2002 and 2012. There is to be a report back to members from the Conversion Panel on member allowances, so it should be put there. It should be for future use. I think Chair might be the next meeting. Potentially. I can certainly check back with regards what basic allowance many within the previously responsible.
Thank you very much for that. Thank you. Anybody else? Councillor Black?
Thank you, Chair. I think everything's pretty much been covered, especially what I've wrote down. However, I would like clarification if possible. It states in the committee report that chairs have flexibility, or committee chairs have flexibility to change the times of their committee meetings. Do we know how many times that's been done beyond the normal 5 o'clock? I.e. to allow public involvement?
Chair, again, I can do a written response. I think Chester, we've done an exercise, give you a competent response. I can take to all that.
Fantastic, thank you. Also, not last year, but I think by removing the public questions, I know it's been a U-turn, we are massively reducing the public involvement and therefore reducing public engagement, an aspect that we are openly trying to increase, which, because of that, I still don't understand why the constitutional group brought it up. But never mind. Lastly, and again, my apologies for being all over the place, I'd like to second, I know what Peter's recommendations were, however, I'd like to second what Councillor Thompson said earlier with regards to the motions of 15 minutes chair, questions, and the various ones he said. Thank you.
Chair, withdrawn actually, it's a motion by Vice
Point of order, Mr. Chairman. Point 24.2 of the Council's Constitution suggests that if an amendment to the Constitution is put on the floor of Council, it will be deferred to the next Council meeting. It doesn't say to the Constitutional Working Group, it doesn't say to the Constitution Committee, it says it will be discussed at the next full Council meeting. So I propose that those proposals that I put forward are discussed at the next full Council meeting, not by a subgroup, by the full Council, and maybe go a step further of saying that in those 6 weeks between now and then, we use the survey monkey and the other consultation tools to find out if members of the public actually want to take advantage of those 3 proposals. What
I do take on board what you said, Councillor Thompson, to come to the full council for discussion on, I think it is the 22nd of June. Don't have a problem with that. So I think that is a point that needs to be brought forward for them and put on the agenda.
Chair, I mean, certainly 24.2 doesn't strictly apply here. That's not actually where I use judicial something to take forward to apply next meeting, but it's actually a further consideration of where you should apply those matters. The Chair, I can do a further kind of short addendum covering those 3 items that have been mentioned by Councillor Thompson and that, and it can be discussed at the council meeting and put it in the
Thank you for that. Right. Can we then go to, we happy then to accept what's been said and then go back to the recommendations that need to be voted on?
Chair, going to North and Central, and South and Central. They will continue to be held quarterly in the Civic Centre. On the same day, the Chair and Vice Chair will be elected members. There will be a policy chairs question time in between the two forum meetings to cover all policy chairs and both sets of residents. In brackets there says timings of meetings will need to be considered. And again, actually, we made that a few years ago, suspicious of their meetings.
Okay, can I have a show of hands, please? All those in favour? That's unanimous, thank you.
Chair, obviously listing out recommendations 3 and 4. 5, the revised format for plan being noticed and approved, and that's obviously appendix 2 to the report.
Okay, all those in favour? All against? Abstentions? Motion is carried. Thank you.
Six, Constitution Committee reintroduced, comprising 9 members, including ceremonial mayor, legal council, 4 members, and meetings being held quarterly. But also, in conjunction with the next recommendation, Constitution Committee will also be presented to council meetings as part of the meetings.
Thank you. All those in favour, please show. All those against? 4 abstentions? None. Recommendation is approved.
Chair, that's it.
Thank you. Right, we'll move on then, please, colleagues. Thank you for that. We'll move on to item 11. The consider reports from council committees that are not under A and B. 12, to consider motions in order which council committees received that are not. Now to receive the Chief Executive's report and to pass any such resolutions thereon as they be deemed necessary.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The supplementary report came out with respect to my report, which the first item relates to appointments to committees, forums, and other bodies as required by the Constitution. The proposed membership of committees, forums, and other bodies has been circulated, and the invitation has been invited, extended to the groups and independent members to make nominations for positions of chairs and vice chairs. Sorry, they are in the schedules that are attached. I think we need to go through, particularly those areas where there are contested seats.
Right. Can we then, colleagues, please, if we accept that the committees where there are no contentious issues are finance and policy, adult services, neighbourhood services, regeneration services, children's services, health and wellbeing board, licensing committee, planning committee, constitution committee, appointments panel, North and Coastal Community Forum, and South and Central Community Forum. Councillor Lloyd. Councillor Lloyd has just said she'd like to propose Councillor George Woods the Vice Chair of Licensing, so that becomes a contentious committee. So can I remove the Licensing Committee from the numbers that I've just mentioned, and can we take those as being read, colleagues, please? All of this. Yes? Thank you. So, that being the case then, we will move on to the first item, which was contentious before, was just being mentioned there, was Audit and Governance Committee. The position of Vice Chair has to be considered. There's 2 nominations, Councillor John Tennant and Councillor Jen Hall. So we need to have a show of hands for a vote, please. So can I have a show of hands, please, for all those in favour of Councillor Tennant, please? 7. All those in favour of Councillor Hall? Councillor Hall, as one that vote, is duly elected as we have Councillor Morris. Can I have a show of hands, please? All those in favour of Councillor Buchan, please. 5. All those in favour of Councillor Morris, please. 19. Councillor Morris is duly elected as Vice Chair of Licensing Committee. If we can go to outside bodies and accept the following ones as I say them as being accepted, then we will go into the contentious side. Archives Joint Committee, Wigan Emergency Planning Joint Committee, North East District Fishery Conservation Authority, Cumbria Regional Food and Coastal Committee, Tees Valley Joint Health Scrutiny Committee, Regional Health Schools Committee, Association of North East Council subgroups, with the exception of the collaborative procurement subgroup which has to be voted on, Durham Heritage Coast Partnership Steering Group, Regeneration Tourism Forum, Alcohol Power Station, 13 stroke article delivery board, Housing Partnership, Tees Valley Leaders and Elected Mayors Group, Tees Valley Leaders and Chief Executives Meeting, Local Government Association, North East Migration Partnership Membership Forum, Northern Consortium of Housing Authorities, Safer Hartlepool Partnership, Standing Advisory Council for Religious Education, Tees Escombe Valley NHS Trust, Tees Valley Combined Authority Transport Committee, Northern Governance Committee, National Museum of Royal Navy, Hartlepool Charitable Trust, Education Commission Leadership Group, Schools Admission Forum, Suez Recycle and Recovery UK Limited, Tees Valley Local Access Forum, Age UK Teesside, Durham Tees Valley Airport Board, Durham Tees Valley Airport Consultative Committee, Fostering and Adoption Panel, Fair Trade Town Steering Group, Hartlepool War Memorial and Crosby Homes, Preston Simpson Scholarship and Music, River Tees Port Health Authority, Tees Mountain Field Centre, Victorian Jubilee Homes, National Association of Councillors, North East Regional Employees Organisation, Teesside Pension Fund, Fairness Savings Pension Fund, Teesside Environmental Trust, Members Champions. That's it. We all accept those. Don't say no. Thank you, Black Boys. We do have contested seats, so I won't go into them now. Well, I had to go through them for members of the public found that all procedures said that I've got to go through, so my fault. We do have a contentious position, which is Cleveland Fire Authority, and there's one seat still to be taken, which is contested by Councillors Moore and Councillors Martin Wells. So, can we have a show of hands, please? All those in favour of Councillor Moore, please. 8. All those in favour of Councillor Martin Wells? Councillor Martin Wells is duly elected to sit on the Cleveland Fire Authority. We do have colleagues, please. Please, sad enough. Cleveland Police and Fire Panel, we have one vacancy. It actually should be an independent that takes this position. But I'm led to believe that no independent wants to take up this position. So it's open to any member to actually take it up. Is there any member wishing to take up the vacancy? We have a nomination. Councillor Lord, have we any other nominations, please? No. Councillor Lord is duly elected to the Police and Crime Panel. We then go to the Better Health Programme Joint Health Scrutiny Committee. We have 2 vacancies, and there must be members of the Audit and Governance Committee. Councillor Welcher? No. Do we have any other nominations, please? No. So we're only taking up the 1 vacancy. We move on to the next one. Association of North East Councils, as I mentioned earlier, Collaborative Procurement Subgroup.
have one vacancy. Any member wish to take up that vacancy? No? Next one, we have one vacancy on Hartlepool District Sports Council. We had 3, we put 2 members, we need a and other. Anybody? No? Okay. North Tees and Hartlepool NHS Foundation Trust. We have one vacancy. Anybody, please? Councillor Lloyd, do we have any other nominations, please? No. Councillor Lloyd, thank you. Right. Tees Valley Combined Overview and Scrutiny Committee. We have 2 vacancies. We require 1 UKIP and 1 Labour. Councillor Tennant?
Let's propose Councillor Moore.
Councillor Moore, thank you. Councillor Belcher? David Belcher?
Sorry for making nominate myself.
Well, myself and Councillor